everyone. Welcome to Long Arm Wednesday. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop, and we're very happy to see you here today. We're working on what I was working on the weekend project. So I have finished the two. One was for Cousin Tim, and the other one it was very much looking like a stained glass. So I finished it off with some black micro polar fleece. It's really quite fluffy and pretty. So it's on the back. I just rolled it to the back. So there's that one all done. Isn't that cute? I love it. Turned out really nice. And then this one is for Cousin Tim, and it ended up being 90 inches, I think 90 inches long in the end. So that's a great size for a big counter, either center island, the dinner table, across the end of the bed, coffee table, dresser. I'm sure there's 100 purposes we could find for this, even if you just rolled it up and used it as a pillow. I don't know. I'm sure you'll like it. I really like it. And the fish fabric is so awesome. You know, it turned out it's really cool with the way it looks, so I'm very happy. I'm very pleased with it. So here's hopefully Cousin Tim likes it. Find out on the weekend. All right, so those two all done, and then of course the third one that you saw that I did up because I was doing as a little tester to see if the pattern was going to work right and if I liked it and how I wanted to change it for the show. So I thought I did all those. I want to do something different, so I added big borders. This right here, this big white one here is 10 inches. And then this dark blue one here is 5 inches. And then I did another 1.5 on either side of the strip that was 12.5 to begin with. So it ends up being a nice size and it looks quite pretty with the white and the blue on either side. I'll just unlock Walt here for a second so you can kind of see. And I've stitched out a beautiful hummingbird with a flower and a little leaf on either side, and then I've done a romantic feather in the center, and then I'm just kind of highlighting it. So pretty much Walt and I are going to work together to finish this project. And now I came undone, so one moment. There we go. I didn't mean to unlock it all the way, but I did. Okay. And of course, just the white backing. And this would make a great cuddle blanket for the couch because it's long enough. It's 70 inches, and the width is a fair size because, you know, if you think of that was already 12.5, added in 1.5, a 10 and a 5, you know, it's already got some width on it. So it could be great as even just for a single bed or even as a small blanket, or a small quilt. Okay, so the feather has stitched out in here and it's done a lovely job. Thank you, Walt. And then what I'm going to do, or have done, is just filled in the center of it to kind of separate the two feathers and make them kind of stand out a little bit. And then I'm going to come around on the outside too and just fill that in as well. My idea was to fill in the hummingbirds and the flower with a small little meander sort of thing, you know, really a small stipple. Okay. So I broke threads because I flopped the Tim's present on here and pushed Walt out of the way, so I had to start over. So just 12 stitches per inch, and I forgot the color of the thread. I think it's a gold of some sort, but yeah, anyways, I like it, and I think it suits us really well. And I'm just coming close to what has been stitched out by Walt. Taking my time to get through the little gap. That's the tightest gap that I have in there, is that one right there. The rest is pretty much just come close, fill it in, kind of let those swirls and the secondary pattern of what you got going on right now stand out on its own. And of course the back is white, so it'll be like a whole separate piece on the back, like a whole cloth sort of creation. It didn't take very long for me to, you know, I thought, okay, well, I could do another table runner, or I could, you know, figure out what else I can do with this one strip. So grab some solids and off I went. Well, and one polka dot. The yellow polka dot. I didn't have enough of the, this yellow right here, the solid yellow. So I thought, oh well, introduce a new one. I think it goes well. And of course, all the birds and the bees and the ladybugs on this fabric you couldn't quite see because it was hanging on the wall behind me, but now you get to see it because it's filled with the bees, and the ladybugs and the fleurs. There's my little tight intersection here. Just take my time, move the stitches up and down, fill it in as equal. Don't do just a straight line. I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to. Just keep it consistent for every intersection that you're having to do that way, right? Don't forget to move. And in no time at all, you've highlighted, you know, not only your project, but, you know, some really nice stitching. Keep it consistent. So I had that romantic feather. It's stitched out in one direction, and then I flipped it and rotated it and have it stitching out in the other direction. So it would give me this little gap in between and add a mirrored effect to the overall piece. So, you know, separated between on this one big strip, right? Hope that made sense. Just trying to think of new things and different things to do that aren't just always squares, right? Added a little touch of modern to this, you know, classic sort of braid look, right? And just put it to the end. Love that little critter fabric. Isn't it adorable? So whether this ends up being a tablecloth or a quilt or a wall hanging or whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever it gets used for, I'm sure it'll be loved. I was feeling very springy-like with all the birds. And I just said to Pop, Sophie and I were just outside, and I said, "Oh, look, a ladybug!" We had like Snowmageddon and Ice-mageddon and everything else Mageddon going on, and now it's all melting. So, but it's beautiful. It's like 10 degrees. It's almost shorts weather in Canada. Well, Pop would say anything +5 is shorts weather. Because Pop likes his shorts. And then just fill it all the way to the end. Okay? And then just use your stitches on the outside. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do for the middle of theirs. And then on the outside of this is just going to fill it in, do the same thing, but only coming down to this line. That's all I'm going to do is come down the line. But I'm going to fill in a bird and a flower first before we call it. All right. So let's crank this up just a smidge. Sophie's like, "I'm out of here. I know what's going on." Just a little more. Those are protesting down there. Okay. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to fill it in. I wanted to be able just to kind of highlight it a little bit, right? Just to make the flower and the bird stand out. I thought about doing it all in between, and I don't know if I got the energy for that. So I thought, why not the flower and the bird, right? So we'll do this one here, the flower and the bird, the hummingbird. I was watching a nature show on it the other day, hummingbirds. They're quite the inquisitive little critters. And then just fill it in. So this is going to take time and a little bit of patience and trying not to cross over. But if you do, I certainly wouldn't be crying about it. It's all no big deal. And just try and get that flower in the end with filling it all in. It's going to stand out a little bit more. This is where maybe a constant stitch would come in handy. You know, you might feel a little bit more comfortable with that. And try and fill in the rest as much as possible. Leave a bit of gap to come back to that top petal there so it leads in with the bird. Okay. To really be precise on where you put your stitches. And of course that laser light on mine really helps a lot, because then I know exactly where the tip of that needle is going to be down and puncturing the fabric and where it's going to leave my thread. So I can try and come really close to those threads that are being the border of the flower without going beyond it. We're trying hard, you know, mistakes happen. Oh well. It's not going to be the end of the world. In the whole scheme of things, are you really going to see that 1 or 2 stitches out? Like, not really. So just putter on. If it bothers you that much at the end, then fix it. Until then, just putter on. You're looking at it with eyes in an individual section. You really have to look at it as eyes as a whole section in the end, right? All right, now come across on the beak. I'm going to come down just a little bit. Give it maybe, you know, so it looks like a little bit of a gap in the beak a little bit. And then fill this in. And of course you can always leave a spot, you know, of a more of a dramatic spot, like around, like there is for an eye. You know, and then fill out around that little section there that you kind of created a little eye for the bird. And just putter down the wing, the body, you know, mix it up a bit. Try still to stay within that stitched, like border, I guess. The lines, coloring within the lines of the bird. Okay. Try not to get too far. You don't want to work yourself in someplace you can't get back out. You could always break threads. Okay. Or you could do this in a whole zigzag, or just a back and forth, or circles, or whatever. It would still highlight the bird. Okay. I don't want to come down too far into the wings because I want to leave those to stand out on their own. Should put my old lady specs on. And hopefully the light's okay. And I know you could be able to see the thread, so I wasn't too concerned about that. Though it is always a concern to see whether you guys can see what I'm doing or not. Alright, we're almost done this little birdie here. And you've gone and given it this really awesome neat texture. And then just end on the stitches on the outside that's creating your outline, right? Okay. There we go. Now take a look. You've seen it all kind of as I was puttering away. Now just kind of look at it just, you know, as a complete unit. I think it looks really kind of cool. It gives the bird texture. It also gives the flower texture. So, so that's how I'm going to finish this all up. And you'll just have to wait for pictures because it may take me a while. But you get the gist of it. And hopefully you get a little picture of it. I'll go a little slower with the little camera here so you can kind of see and how the feathers have stitched out in the center. So thank you very much for watching and subscribing and liking and visiting us on our Facebook page at the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop of the Mafia group there, and and taking a look at our at stuff on Patreon too. So thank you very much. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the weekend project. Bye, everybody.